Greetings, friends and fellow cigar box guitar enthusiasts. Dale Puckett here, and I'm going to have to go fast in this video because the battery's dying and I don't have a charger. So a couple of things I want you all to hear how this guitar sounds with this Smoking Notes saddle in this thing here. If you want to see the build video, it's the previous video to this one. But in this video, we're going to put this thing through the paces. The reason being is because, for a number of reasons, you're going to want to hear that. It's one of those. And then the other half of the video here, I want to show you what I'm doing with this Padrone style box here with the funky hinge here on the back. You see these hinges? And this little lip here. I've got an idea here that I want to show you. So the second half of this video, I'm going to show you what I'm doing with this thing here. And I do have some pretty, I think it's profound stuff concerning this neck blank here. This is a one piece. And I'm going to cut this thing out here, but I wanted to explain something to you I think you might enjoy. So, oh yeah, guys, get a load of this. This is so interesting. So I am right in the smack dab in the middle of a home remodel. What we're doing is, I don't want to say tearing down because we're not tearing down. We are restoring a 1940s Adobe that has been added onto over the years. And so it's just a crazy mess. Anyhow, we're taking down one wall, and one of my buddies who's helping me out saw this piece of newspaper embedded in the wall, kind of all folded up. Right? It looks like it's a Walgreens Santa Claus thing. And so what I did is I took a picture of this here and I submitted it to ChatGPT, and it told me it was a 1966 Christmas advert and stuff. Well, what I noticed here was all of these cigar boxes. I'm like, hey, let me take a look at that. I'm like, oh, dude, I got these boxes, man. I got this White Owl box here, the ROI-TAN, the El Producto. It's got all sorts of tobacco stuff in here. But anyhow, so I got to digging around here, and sure enough, man, let's check out this the White Owl. We got the White Owl there, the top one. The next one, second one down, the ROI-TAN. Pink. They got all sorts of multiple boxes. I do have the one that's exactly like this over there in the stack, right there. The red one with the crown on the top of the ROI-TAN. This is the box I'm going to use. And then, of course, the El Producto. This guy here. Peaks. It doesn't say what the price are. It doesn't say what the prices are, but the prices of the cigars are usually on the inside, 2 for 25 cents. This one here was what, 10 cents? Okay, well anyhow, so this ROI-TAN here, I don't want to say I've been poo-pooing these things here, but they're antique boxes, and I always kind of, this actually made out of wood. I mean, you can tell, that's a wooden guitar. So I was curious to see and hear what this box sounds like. Anyhow, I do have it strung up and tuned up, and I'm going to start tearing it out. I want you guys to hear what this thing sounds like. So first things first, let's get rid of these pesky strings. We don't want to put anybody's eye out, right? Especially yours. So we are tuned G, D, G. So first thing, unplugged, right? We are going to just hear the acoustic sound of this thing here. Can you say amazing? Yee! All right, let's plug it in. So I'm going to use the Roland Micro Cube. These are the settings, the dirty settings. Here's the power button. And you know it works because you can hear the static, you can see the light. So I'll just set it right here. And you can see the corner. So this is without it. And I like to use the back side of the pick because it's got the double bump, so I get kind of a raspier sound. So I wanted to kind of teach you a little lesson. So we know how we normally do like the 12-bar blues. And then for the 4-chord, we go to this chord. Well, instead of going to this chord for the 4-chord, I'm going to go to this chord for the 4-chord. Instead of going to this chord for the 5-chord, instead of going to this chord, I'm going to go to this chord for the 5-chord. And everything else is the same as far as like the rhythm and the timing and the measures and stuff. So this is the way it would sound, right? Turn around. And that's just one chord substitution. You could substitute any chord for any chord and force it into that little blues box, and it's going to be a cool little vibe. And another thing I wanted to point out is that, isn't it just interesting, and I'm sure you know this, that every instrument kind of, I want to say, demands, inspires you to play a certain way. As soon as I picked this thing up, I started playing like this little funkadelic thing, and it's real easy. It's just like the harmonics or the 12th fret, however you want to do it. But I was doing with these little diminished chords, and you can move these things, and then the inversion of that is like just. So I'm just kind of messing around with that, just back and forth here, and I'm still working on the idea, but this is kind of the vibe, like. It's like the two diminished chords, right? You get this diminished chord here, and then its inverted counterpart, and this diminished chord here, and its inverted counterpart. I would have never have played that had I not built this guitar and tuned it up and started going. And each of these guitars hits you just a little different. This one's hitting hard, man. Check this out. Mama, take this badge off of me. I don't need it anymore. It's getting dark, too dark to see. It feels like I'm knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, 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 knocking on heaven's door. Knocking on the door. Poor Mojo's down there choking on a bone. All right, moving on to the second part of this video. I wanted to show you some recent ideas that I've got with these Padrone style boxes. Now, typically in the past with these kind of boxes, I've avoided them, and the reason being is because of these hinges. I've never been a fan of those style of hinges. This is one that I yanked out. They're just sharp, and they just destroy the wood coming out. They're hard to get out, hard to put back in once you get them out and stuff. And plus, you have this little L shape to deal with here, right? It's always been just like I said, out of laziness, I've kind of steered away from these boxes, and as a result, I have a few of them just laying around here that I've been inspired. So recently, I have been challenged to consider a different style of build, and what this is this is inspired by my buddy Jeff Patterson, who built this one here, and there is going to be a upcoming video on this one here. This is an amazing sounding guitar, and the reason being is because of this strategy of building. Now, notice his top here does not come in contact with anything. Up here you have this gap in here in between the wood and the top of the box. Okay. Anyhow, that's the idea here. This is like an early style, so this changed. There was a wedge here, and there's gapper blocks in here. But the whole idea here is that the top does not touch anywhere. Zero. There is no touchy in here at all. So there's no piezo. In fact, the piezo is underneath. The piezo is the only thing that's touching the top. There's nothing else is touching the top. The hinge comes around the backside, doesn't touch the top. The saddle obviously touches the top, but that's the only thing, right? There's no contact between the neck wood and the top. So I got to thinking, Del, how can I do that? What Jeff does is he just builds boxes, right? And then drills a hole with a little bit of thing coming down from it, and then sticks his neck through, and you can't even tell because it's really disguised, but it's just stuck through what would be the top, and then he glues the back on. So I got to thinking, and I'm using this Padrone box, but herein lies the trick, guys. Check this out. This is huge. This is an experiment, but it very well could be a game changer. So I've taken this box here, right? And I ripped it apart. You gotta trust me that I ripped it apart. I ripped it apart and then I broke it. So I ripped it apart. I got the top over there, straightening out. There was a little bit of warpage on it. I say the top. It was the top, but now it's going to be the back side. Why? Because the back side is going to be the top side, right? So it opens. Well, I also broke that little piece off. It's on part of the hinge. You can see the hinge holes there. I just broke that piece off and glued it on, right? So now it's like solid this way. But again, like I said, it's going to be, the back is going to be the front and the front's going to be the back. So what I'm going to do is carve out the little thing there and do like Jeff did, insert the neck into that little hole so that it does not come in contact with the back. So that means I'm going to have to cut it down a little bit more so it goes underneath further so that now the top is not resting on that neck piece, but now it is floating. The neck is kind of floating in the box, so to speak. All right, I know it's a foreign thought for me, a foreign concept. I'm going to try it out, and we're going to get to the bottom of this, and we're going to see if that tone, that magical tone that comes out of this box. Yeah, check this out. This is all acoustic. Yeah, lots of tone, lots of tone. All right, well, if you made it to this part of the video, which is the end of the video, number of things. Number one, congratulations. Number two, thank you. Number three, you're in for a bonus surprise because I just made an amazing discovery by accident, and I don't know exactly why I saw what I saw, but I saw what I saw, and I'm going to explain to you what I saw. Now, right off the bat, I want to say here that this piece here, I bought this at Home Depot. It's a 2x2, which means it's really a 1.5 by a 1.5 ish. It's like those two blocks glued together, but it's not really. It's just one solid piece. I liked it because it had this stripe through it. This is poplar and tight grained, straight as an arrow. When I picked it up, it's like, oh yes, there is a guitar neck in there. And so I went ahead and just drew it out by eye. And I do have the back angle. And this is going to be paired with, AKA married to this box here, right? So this is going to be the box. And this is going to be the neck, one carved. And again, I'm going to be doing a double dip down here to get this piece of neck wood way down so that it doesn't interfere with the top of the box here. Okay. Now, one thing I did notice, I just eyeballed this just by eyeball. This is the back angle. And I've been doing this for years and years and years, and I get to the point where I don't even measure anymore. I just kind of like pick it up and strike a line because I know the action that I like, whatever. It's just totally by feel. There's no calculation. There's no measurement. And another thing that I like, that I realized I've liked over the years, is a tapered neck. In other words, the neck thickness here, I like it as it slowly gets thicker and thicker and thicker, just slightly until we get to the heel where it obviously gets really thick, and then that's where it goes through the body of the box here, right here. So this, I'm talking about this taper right here. So a lot of times, you know, we just get our one by, we run it through the planer, or we start filing it or whatever, and it's kind of the same thickness through and through here. Now, a lot of my guitars, a lot of my favorite guitars, the majority, I would say, of my guitars are built that way. The guitars that do have this subtle taper, they're usually the ones that are carved from a one piece that affords me the opportunity to do that. What I wanted to point out is this angle here and this angle here on the back angle are the same angle. It just so happens to be by accident. But what I did is I sighted it, so I got it drawn here. In fact, I'm going to draw it with a magic marker so you can see what I'm saying easily. So using a Sharpie, I highlighted the taper of the neck, and then the heel, and then I also highlighted the taper of the back angle. Now, if I look at this, like here, you can see that the angle is exactly the same. So if I was to tie a string way over there and then use that as my arc, boom, 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 dude, then I'm going to have the angles on my taper identical to my back angle on the guitar. Now, this is all theory again. I'm just gonna proceed into this build knowing that the plane on the taper on the back here, the plane of this is gonna match the tilt of the back angle of my instrument. So the action in this should I'm trying to see if there is a correlation. If there is, then I'm going to exploit this design concept into my builds consistently. So stay tuned for future builds to see how this one here, the one with the twin taper, and then the box top that does not come in contact with the neck plane, to see if the sound is anything like Jeff Patterson's guitar. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Cheers. We'll see you in the next one.